Virgo, listen, not to my voice, to the space between your heartbeats. There is a message there that has been repeating itself for longer than you have been alive, and today, for the first time, you are quiet enough to hear it. It does not arrive in words. It arrives in pressure, a warmth that pools at the base of your throat when the light hits the window at a certain angle. A sudden, inexplicable knowledge, standing in the grocery store aisle or at the post office or waiting for the kettle to boil, that someone, somewhere, is breathing your name into the dark like a secret. They are not yet brave enough to speak in daylight. You have felt it, Virgo. You have felt it and dismissed it as indigestion, as fatigue, as the residual ache of a dream you cannot remember. But it is not residual, it is arrival. It is the sound of a love so vast, so singular, so unlike anything you have been taught to recognize, that it has been bending the air around you for months without your permission, and perhaps more importantly, without your fear. I am not here to tell you that someone is plotting to confess. I am not here to warn you of a storm or mark a calendar or describe the architecture of a tower crashing down. I am here to describe a climate, a season that has already begun in the atmosphere of your life, a season of which you have only been aware through the subtle changes in the leaves, the behavior of birds, the way your own dreams have shifted from grayscale to something that bleeds color at the edges. There is a person, Virgo, and they are not coming. They are already here. They have been standing in the weather of your days, so still, so patient, so thoroughly transformed by the mere fact of your existence that they have become a feature of the landscape you traverse. And like all features of a beloved landscape, you have stopped seeing them. The mountain does not announce itself to the valley. The river does not explain itself to the stone. It simply wears on, shaping, smoothing, giving without demand. That is the quality of what is being offered to you. That is the love that waits. If your skin is prickling right now, not with anxiety, but with a strange cellular recognition, as if your blood has finally found the frequency it was tuned to before birth, I want you to do something that has nothing to do with algorithms and everything to do with your own body. I want you to stand up, or if you cannot stand, I want you to press your feet flat against the floor. Feel the weight of your bones. Feel the absolute miracle of your own gravity. And if, in that grounded place, you feel a door inside you swing open on hinges you did not know were oiled, hit that like button. Not as currency, as a bell, as a single note struck in a cathedral where no one else is praying but you. Subscribe to this channel because there are still places where the internet functions as a threshold rather than a distraction, and this is one of them. And if you wish, write the word honey in the comments. Not for me. For the part of your tongue that remembers sweetness before language. Now, let me tell you about the architecture of this love, because it is not built from the materials you expect. This is not the frantic, grasping love of the young, though there is youth in it. This is not the desperate, hungry love of the lonely, though there is hunger. This is not even the devotional love of the wounded, though this person carries wounds as finely as they carry everything else. This is a love that has caused a fully grown adult to relearn the physics of their own body. A person who, before you, moved through the world with competence, with efficiency, with a schedule they respected and a heart they kept in a locked drawer for emergencies only. They were not cold, Virgo. They were simply organized. They had categorized love under optional experiences and had lived a life of such tidy sufficiency that they genuinely believed they were whole. They paid their bills early. They kept their plants alive. They remembered birthdays. They were, by every external measure, a success at being human. And then you walked into the room. I need you to understand the violence of that moment, not because there was any violence in you, but because the impact was internal and total. You did not do anything dramatic. You did not wear a red dress or deliver a monologue or catch their eye across a crowded room in a way that stopped time. You were simply yourself. You were arranging your papers, or adjusting your sleeve, or asking a question in a voice that carried the exact frequency of sincerity, or laughing in a way that made the air around you rearrange itself to make room for the sound. And something in this person, something that had been sleeping under layers of maturity and caution and sensible decisions, simply sat up in bed and began to scream. Not outwardly, outwardly they nodded. They smiled. They continued the conversation with such seamless composure that no one in a 50-foot radius suspected that an earthquake had just opened a fissure straight through the center of their carefully constructed life. But inside, Virgo, inside they were ruined, beautifully ruined, the way a cathedral is ruined by light streaming through a window it did not know it had. The way a shore is ruined by a tide that refuses to recede. They went home that night and stood in front of their own bathroom mirror and did not recognize the person looking back, because that person was in love, helplessly, hopelessly, head over heels in love, for the first time, or perhaps for the first time in so long that the previous instance had been erased by time and disappointment. And here is what makes this love unlike any other that has ever been offered to you. This person does not want to possess you. They do not want to solve you. They do not want to extract your attention like a resource to be mined until the vein runs dry. What they want, with a ferocity that terrifies them, is to witness you, to be the living audience to your existence. They have fallen in love not with an idea of you, not with a projection of what you could do for their ego or their loneliness, but with the sheer, irreducible fact of your being. They love the way your mind moves, yes, but they love the pauses between your thoughts even more. They love your competence, but they love the moments when your competence slips and something softer, something uncertain, flickers across your face like a candle in a draft. They have memorized the choreography of your gestures, the way a blind person memorizes a room, not to control it, but to move through it without injury. They know the exact angle at which you hold your pen. They know the rhythm of your footsteps in a hallway. They know the precise number of seconds it takes you to decide whether you trust someone because they have watched you perform that calculation dozens of times, and each time they have held their breath, praying that their own name would one day pass the test. They are, in short, obsessed. But it is the gentlest obsession that has ever existed. It does not manifest as jealousy. It does not manifest as surveillance. It manifests as care that is so microscopic, so attuned to your frequency that it has become almost invisible to your naked eye. When you mentioned 6 months ago in a conversation they were not even a part of, but overheard, that you preferred your tea to steep for exactly 4 minutes and not a second more. They went home and timed their own kettle. Not because they were trying to impress you, because they wanted to understand the molecular structure of your satisfaction. When you once said, in passing, that you could not sleep in rooms that smelled of synthetic lavender, they remembered, they remember everything. Their memory of you is not a file cabinet, it is a cathedral. Every word you have ever spoken in their presence has been placed on an altar and illuminated by candlelight. And they have never told you this, because how do you tell someone that they have become your religion without sounding unhinged? But the universe is tired of their silence. The universe, which has no patience for unspoken devotion, has begun to amplify their frequency until it is leaking into the physical world around you. You have noticed things, Virgo. You have noticed that the mornings feel different lately, that the light has a weight to it that it did not have before, that certain songs appear on playlists you did not curate at moments so precisely aligned with your emotional state that coincidence has become an embarrassing explanation. You have noticed animals behaving strangely in your presence, birds flying lower, cats following you for blocks, dogs sitting at your feet and staring up at you with an expression that does not belong to them, as if they are seeing something hovering just above your shoulders. You have noticed that water tastes sweeter, that bread rises better in your kitchen, that the plants you have been neglecting have suddenly begun to thrive, pushing out new growth in directions that point, if you were to trace them on a map, directly toward where this person is standing at any given moment. These are not signs, these are symptoms. The world around you is reacting to the force field of adoration that is being projected at you with such constant, unwavering intensity that the molecular structure of your reality is beginning to warp. And this person, this architect of your new climate, they are not unaware of the effect they are having. They are simply powerless to stop it. They have tried, they have gone on dates with other people, reasonable people, available people, people who do not make them feel like their skin is too small for their soul. They have sat across tables from perfectly nice humans and listened to them talk about their hobbies and their weekends and their 5-year plans, and they have nodded and smiled and felt absolutely nothing. Not because the other people were lacking, because their heart had already been colonized, because you had already moved in, rearranged the furniture, and hung curtains, and there was no longer any vacancy. They have tried to reason with themselves. They have made lists of all the ways you are impractical, all the reasons a connection between you might be complicated, all the logical arguments for why they should redirect their affection towards someone more accessible. The lists have done nothing. The lists have become kindling, because love, the real kind, the kind that arrives like a weather system and refuses to leave, does not negotiate with logic. It simply is. It occupies. It transforms. I want to describe the exact texture of their love for you because you have been loved before, Virgo, but you have never been loved like this. When they think of you, which is approximately every 3 minutes of every waking hour and with embarrassing frequency during sleep, they do not think of possession, they think of provision. They think, does she have enough light in that room? Does he eat enough when he is stressed? Is someone checking the air pressure in her tires? Is he warm? Is he safe? Is she being seen by someone today the way she deserves to be seen? These thoughts do not feel like work to them, they feel like prayer. They have become the background radiation of this person's existence, a constant hum of concern and delight that plays beneath every other activity, like a bass line so deep you feel it in your sternum before you hear it with your ears. And because thoughts are energy and energy moves in waves, these prayers have been reaching you. They have been reaching you in the form of inexplicable peace during moments when you should have been anxious. They have been reaching you as sudden, irrational bursts of courage when you were about to shrink. They have been reaching you as the sensation just before sleep that you are being held by something larger than your own solitude. Now, the moment of revelation, I am not going to tell you that they are planning a speech. I am not going to tell you that a letter is in the mail or that they will appear at your door at midnight with rain in their hair. The revelation that is coming will not be verbal, it will not be announced. It will be a moment of mutual recognition so profound that language will feel like a crude instrument, like trying to play a symphony on a kazoo. It will happen in public, most likely, in a space you both frequent, where the context is ordinary and the lighting is unremarkable. You will be doing something with your hands, perhaps tying a scarf or sorting through your bag or reaching for a book, and they will be watching you, as they always do, and something in the quality of their watching will finally pierce the veil of your own distraction. You will look up, and for the first time, you will see them, not the version of them you have filed under acquaintance or colleague or friend of a friend. You will see the current running beneath the surface. You will see the way their pupils have expanded, the way their breathing has shifted, the way their hands have gone still in a posture of such tender reverence that it will stop your own breath. And in that suspended second, something will pass between you that has no name in any human language. It will be older than words. It will be the recognition of two souls who have loved each other in other rooms, other centuries, other bodies, and who have found each other again in this one with the exhausted, grateful relief of travelers who have finally reached the same inn after walking separately through a long, cold night. You will not faint, you will not weep, though you may want to. What you will feel is a door opening inside your chest that you had sealed so long ago you had forgotten it was a door at all. You had thought it was a wall, you had decorated it. You had hung pictures on it and arranged furniture against it and told yourself that this was simply the shape of your heart, that you were not built for the kind of love that novels describe, the kind that alters the chemical composition of the air. But when their eyes meet yours in that moment, and you finally allow yourself to receive what has been pouring into you for months, you will understand that the door was never locked. It was only waiting for the right frequency to resonate it open. And their frequency, Virgo, is the key. It has always been the key. What happens after that moment is not my story to tell. It belongs to the two of you and to the slow, patient, terrifying work of building a bridge between two people who have both been hurt by bridges before. But I can tell you what you must not do. You must not analyze this love to death. You must not take it into the laboratory of your mind and dissect it, looking for flaws, for hidden motives, for the inevitable expiration date. You must not measure it against every failed connection you have survived and use those failures as evidence that this one will also collapse. This love is not those loves. It does not share their DNA. It was conceived in a different season, under different stars, and it has been growing in the dark, protected from your skepticism, until it was strong enough to survive your scrutiny. If you approach it with your usual tools, if you try to organize it, optimize it, or protect yourself from it by anticipating its end, you will kill it. Not because it is fragile, but because love, like any living thing, cannot breathe inside a sealed jar. You must learn to receive. And I know, Virgo, that receiving is the hardest spiritual practice you will ever undertake. You are so good at giving. You are so good at showing up, at managing, at holding the world together with your own two hands while everyone else around you relaxes into the safety you provide. But receiving requires a different posture. It requires you to stand with your palms open and your armor off. It requires you to believe for longer than you are comfortable that you are worthy of being adored without having to earn it through service, through perfection, through the constant, exhausting production of value. This person does not love you because you are useful. They love you because because your existence is a phenomenon that moves them the way the moon moves the tides, not through effort, but through the simple gravitational fact of being. You must let them love you in their way, which is vast and quiet and relentless, without trying to pay them back in installments of labor. You must let them bring you flowers without immediately calculating what you owe in return. You must let them look at you with that oceanic devotion without deflecting the gaze with a joke or a task or a sudden urgent need to check your email. You must simply be in their presence the same way they have learned to be in yours, fully present, fully visible, fully unguarded. And if you can do this, if you can drop the performance and stand in the raw, unedited truth of your own worthiness, what grows between you will become the standard by which you measure every other blessing in your life. It will not be perfect. Perfection is a myth sold to frightened people. It will be real. It will be two humans choosing each other every morning, not because they have to, but because the alternative, a world in which the other does not exist, has become literally unthinkable. It will be conversations that last until 3 in the morning and silence that feels just as full. It will be the discovery that their hand fits the curve of your back as if it had been carved by the same sculptor who shaped your spine. It will be the slow, holy realization that you have stopped bracing for impact, that you have stopped waiting for the other shoe to drop because the ground beneath you has finally become solid. Not because there are no earthquakes, but because you are standing on bedrock. I want to leave you with an image, because images are what survive when words fail. Imagine a bell made of ice, not glass, ice. Clear, singing, impossible ice hanging in the center of a garden that has been buried under snow for longer than anyone can remember. And imagine that someone has been standing in that garden every day without coat or gloves, striking that bell with a devotion so pure that the sound has begun to melt the snow. Not all at once, slowly, in widening circles. The sound does not demand that the winter end. It simply refuses to stop ringing. And beneath the snow, beneath the frozen ground, seeds that have been sleeping since before you were born have begun to wake up. They do not know why. They Only know that the frequency has changed, that the soil has warmed by a fraction of a degree, and that it is finally time to grow. That bell is this person's heart, Virgo. That garden is your life. The snow is every fear, every disappointment, every frozen moment that convinced you spring was a myth. And the ringing, the constant, patient, head over heels ringing, has already begun. You do not need to do anything to deserve it. You do not need to run toward it or away from it. You only need to stop covering your ears. You only need to let the sound reach you. You only need to allow the thaw. The person who loves you is not coming. They are already here. The snow is already melting. The seeds are already splitting open in the dark. And when the first green pushes through, when you finally look up and meet their eyes and understand what has been happening all along, you will not feel surprised. You will feel remembered. You will feel in the deepest part of your being the click of a lock that has been waiting for exactly this key since the beginning of time. Stand up slowly, let the blood return to your limbs. Go to your window and look out at the world with new eyes, because it is not the same world it was when you began listening. It is warmer now. It is softer. It is ringing with a sound that only you can hear, and the person making that sound is closer than your own breath. Do not go looking for them. Do not chase. Simply open the door you have been holding shut against the cold, and let the spring come in. It has traveled so far to find you. It has never stopped moving toward you. And now, at last, you are ready to let it arrive. Go gently. Go with your hands uncurled. Go knowing that you are loved beyond measure, beyond reason, beyond the vocabulary of your own doubt. The bell is still ringing. It will never stop. All you have to do is listen.